succeed in getting President Ruto out of power. Then, with the constitution of IEBC, which is what we must fast track also, and we must be vigilant about that, is to then use a recall process to make sure that we send the other parliamentarians home. The other reason why I was opposed to Raila's call for dialogue is that when President Ruto agreed to meet Gen Zs on the X space, there was no conversation about dialogue. There was no conversation about selecting 150 people. The conversation was very simple.
NATO tried to land so that I think your 2 minutes are done, and we have over 200 speakers on the queue. So please land so that we can give the mic to someone else.
Yeah, could you please give Neto a little bit more time, please,
that's
to
what
finish?
I wanted to say. Neto, I'm going to give you some of my 2 minutes. Please proceed. I know there's a reason why, because the legal thing is, it's interesting, and we want to also have that clarification. So please proceed to finish without interruption.
Thank you, Marge. And I just said the things I'm talking about will be extrapolated by Dr. Miguna and the Chief Justice. So 3 things then. One, I said, part of the conversations that we had was that there was no request by the Gen Zs for President Ruto to constitute a dialogue phase, because what the Gen Zs were asking for the president is to play by the constitution by sacking the corrupt ministers, sacking the people who are incompetent, and that is very clear. There's nothing that you need dialogue about. And if you see, look at the TGRC report, look at the Ndungu report, look at the Waki report, look at the post-election violence report, Agenda 1, Agenda 2, and 3. So Kenya is replete with reports that just need to be implemented. So for Raila Odinga to request us to go for another dialogue session is to make sure he's misusing us like he's always misused people previously. And you must understand one thing with Raila Odinga is that he always wants to disrupt things. If he's not at the center of those activities, then he also wants to disrupt them. So I really think that in this particular instance, we cannot allow him to disrupt us. The third thing I wanted to say is the issue of public debt and an audit of the public debt. The reason why you might have seen Raila and his friends come out in the open is because you remember Raila being part of Uhuru's handshake, was part of the Chinese debts, was part of all these things. So they know for a fact that an audit or an opening of the public debt puts them all in the same corner. So what would I request of us to do in the next couple of weeks? Number one, I think we need to focus the revolution. We need to focus the revolution. And Gen Zs did a good job by starting the revolution. But I really think that right now we need all hands on deck. We've been on this particular call with all these veterans, CJ, Willy, Dr. Miguna, who started these calls earlier on. I think we need all hands on deck. Let the Gen Zs do their role, which they've been doing very well. Let the millennials do it, because it's for country. So that at least let's focus, so that when the part of leadership comes through, then let the Gen Zs, of course, then take over power in the way that they please. But let everyone else play their role. The last thing I'd like to say is the next weeks of IEBC appointment. That's going to be the frontier where we must fight Ruto and Raila in a way that gives us what we deserve. You've seen the way it's always possible to manipulate IEBC commissioners. The role right now as it stands is very skewed in favor of Raila and in favor of President Ruto, because 5 out of the 9 people to be appointed as the selection panel are all going to be from political parties. That definitely gives them an advantage in terms of who then becomes on board. So I think even though we might be disadvantaged in terms of where we're starting from, I think that space is going to be for eternal vigilance, because then so that we do not scare too many people. If we protect that particular space, then we are going to be all good. The last one, the call for Ruto must always be accompanied by the call Gachagua must go. Because part of what is going on in the streets is that people are wondering that if you let President Ruto alone, how then does Gachagua become president? Which is even more horrendous than the current president. So I really think that clarion call should be for both of them. Of course, Ruto must go, Gachagua must go. But of course, when both of them go, and there are constitutional ways of doing that. If you look at the provisions of Article 143, once the president has gone, you can also throw away the deputy president. And then, of course, there's an election in 60 days. So that, of course, then still within the constitution. So that people like Ndego have no business getting worried. We will make sure the president resigns within the provisions of Article 146. We will make sure the deputy president resigns within the provisions of Article 143 and 144. And we shall have an election in 60 days where Gen Zs and other Kenyans can then put in the kind of president they want. Thank you very much, Maggie.
Thanks so much, Neto. And yes, and Tony, you're next. Thanks for your submissions there. And Tony, take a go. And then Mkenya, your question.
Thank you. I just want to address the issue of fear and the issue you raised about marching to State House. Because, look, these issues that we are taking are not easy. It was Winston Churchill who said that of all the virtues of a man, there is nothing more important than courage. We would not have got the finance bill retracted had people not risked their lives and marched. We would not have the IBC panel now appointed had there been no this protest and this sacrifice of so many Kenyans, because even the NADCO report was not able to give birth to that. And I want to remind Kenyans what happened in 2002 when Mwai Kibaki won the presidency. President Moi came to Uhuru Park and the public went crazy. Moi must go, Moi must go. And he had all the security and everything there, but nobody was holding back Uhuru Park. I want to associate myself with what Miguna had said earlier. I think this country has not reached the point of critical mass. When we reach a point of critical mass, we are so many of us that they will be all scared of us. I was watching last week all MPs apologizing. I'm so sorry I didn't listen to Jay-Z. I'm so sorry I didn't listen, because they can't go home. I want to be, because these people listen to this space, and I know many from State House and intelligence are listening. The reason they bring out the army is to scare you. The reason they shot all these people, even 12-year-old boy, is because they want to scare Kenyans. Fear is that is their merchandise. If we buy fear and we start now looking like we want to be apologetic, we want to do IPPG, we want to do small things, as Miguna says, the black law, letter of the law, we are going to begin to lose that momentum. What is important, no dialogue, no talks, and no retreat means, are we ready to march and to march even up to State House? Who would have believed would have got it into Parliament? Who would have believed that Ruto can refuse to sign the Finance Bill 2024? Who can believe even now the military is hiding? Although they are deployed, they don't want to be seen in the public. We are winning this war because we are courageous and we have no fear. Let them not even think we have any fear at all. I want to stop there.
Thank you so much. Dr. Miguna, do you want to chime in before we go to KDR News, or should we proceed?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead,
thank
go
you.
ahead.
KDR News, then Esperance, then Kenya.
Thank you very much, Maja, Dr. Miguna, my good friend, and CJ Emeritus, Dr. Mutunga. I'm a little bit confused here because the law which was rejected, but technically I'm not a lawyer, that's why I need people like Dr. Miguna to come in and really tell us what is the, I mean, right now, where are we with the rejected bill? We've not actually had anything, and as per the explanations, Dr. Miguna, I heard you last time. You said that after 14 days, and that's what is the Constitution. The law becomes effective. So where are we right now, and what can we do to salvage that particular law? Not really salvage, but just completely eradicate it. The other thing I also need to get from the legal minds is the aspect of, I mean, not really the aspect, but where are we with the real data of the people who are killed? I've tried to put my team in the field to get some more data, also more clarification, but they are getting a lot of pushback. Dr. Tony, I'm really having a very serious issue with getting the data from the hospitals, the data from the police. So up to now, even the 41 gallant members of the Gen Z who were killed, we don't really have a clear data and what really killed them, because what we also need when we are writing even articles, we really need to get facts right. So I'm still really having a very difficult time getting those data, getting the post-mortem, and up to now. So we are really having a very terrible situation down there. What can we really do to ensure we get this data, we get this information, and probably even file suits to ensure that these people have been brought to book? And then the other thing, when President Ruto is telling our Gen Z or our millennial or people like X, people older, all like us, what are we really going to do to ensure these people, especially the policemen, are brought to book? Why does he talk of dialogue? Why does Raila Amolo Odinga talk of dialogue while our people from our community in Kisumu down there, over 75 people were killed, and they were being pulled from their houses, from their huts, being clobbered to death, but nothing has actually been done. So I would also love the opposition to tell us exactly what have they done with the people who are killed. Right now, as we are speaking, there are people who are still getting abducted. The Gen Zs are being sent very weird messages threatening them and all that. So what kind of dialogue are they telling us while people are still being forced from their houses? They are being forced to abandon their just cause. I'm really having a lot of pain. And to finish up my 2 minutes, I'm still having a lot of pain. One of my sisters, I've actually seen her here, Dr. Kombe, when she was running from Kenya. Every media house really got scared of writing the articles about her abduction. Well, our media house, through a friend of ours from the airport, gave us the information. We didn't fear. We wrote those articles. So if you've got any information which deems to better the lives of Kenyans, send it our way so that we can publish it. If you have got good information, we can even interview you. If it's not on Twitter, if it's on YouTube or wherever situation you want us to publish your information, please bring it forward so that we can publish that information. So I really need some clarification from CJ Emeritus, Dr. Mutunga, or Dr. Miguna, or Dr. Tony. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, KDR TV News. We go to Esperance and then Kenya.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief. So I'm just wondering, I have a couple of questions. The first one is, at what point do we declare these disappearances, abductions, these murders, crimes against humanity? Because these numbers are rising by the day, and I mean, the government seems to have some form of false sense of immunity, which is very sad. At what point do we declare them crimes against humanity, and how then do we act? Do we wait for other people to act on our behalf, or how do we act individually to raise to let the world know that indeed there are crimes happening against humanity in Kenya? I think Dr. Mutunga has dropped, but then I had a question for him. Maybe I was just wondering, as the first Chief Justice post 2010 Constitution, where did we lose it as a country? In that one, is the judiciary independent when it comes to draft? We've seen when this Kenya Kwanza government came in, we just saw cases being dropped one after the other in a very sequential manner. Number two, the issue of, I had him mention the issue of cattle rustling in I mean, why are we glorifying robbery with violence in the name of cattle rustling? And is it something that cannot be stopped, or is there's more to it than meets the eye? The third one, the ESCC, IPOA, and all these, are they toothless dogs? If that's the case, then how do we then handle them? Should we do away with them if we cannot fight corruption? The third question, the gift of public participation. Is it just a gift on paper, or do we have M&E tools to put checks and balances on it? Because we are in this situation. What triggered us to this situation is the people we elected failed to involve the public in public participation. So we went to the streets. And then this is my suggestion. Can we break the system one department at a time, so that when uprooting say when we picked Nakumincha, can we ensure she's gone? Then Ababu, because like right now there are questions on the people he's carried to Paris. We'd want to know, can we have it clear how many people have gone to Paris and at what expense to the taxpayers' money, so that when we are pushing these agendas, tunafinya we inject until somebody goes. And then the person who asked, I think KDR TV News, who asked about data, I think because the government will not give us that data, I think that is HIPAA data, but we can get it from other CSOs like Badili Africa. I think Boniface Mwangi, I saw them working with those families, and they've been posting on their social sites because they sought consent from the families. And then the last one, I think the Gen Zs do not need dialogue at this point. The things they're asking for should be done. Somebody said that when the government doesn't want to solve your problems, they create commissions, task forces, and introduce bougie words like dialogue. At this point, tribal kingpins, perceived or real, must take a back seat, because this thing is, the issues these people are asking, unemployment. What is dialogue going to create employment? And I still insist, can't dialogue run simultaneously with picketing as a right of the people? Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Esperance. Kenya, and then we probably the guest speakers can then chime in. Kenya, your question, please.
My question concerns all the 742 interns whose contract was terminated for participating in the strike that was happening. So how can that be addressed legally? So that goes to Miguna as well as the CJ.
Thank you. So Dr. Miguna, please take the mic.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to express my condolences to the family of David Majanja, the judge, who I have just seen breaking news just collapsed and died today in Nairobi. Majanja is one of those very good judges in the judiciary. Unfortunately, he has died suddenly. I don't know of what causes, but that's the breaking news. Justice Majanja is dead. The second thing I would like to say is that NATO gave a very good presentation that I agree with entirely. And I think that he has made very good points. That for those who are picking up the points and digesting them and using them to inspire, those are very, very, very good points. Now, I will go to Omweri's statement, the gentleman who spoke from KDRE TV. Is called Omweri. The data that we have, the only data that most people seem to rely on regarding the people who are dead, is from the Kenya National Commission for Human Rights. But even their data is dated in the sense that the last time they spoke of 42 dead, but we know as of yesterday that Denzel Omondi was found floating in a quarry near JKUAT, killed by the police and dumped there, tortured and killed. And just today, we also learned, maybe last night, that Duncan Onsongo was also found in a mortuary in Nairobi, having been tortured, killed, and then his body dumped there. So I believe that we are going to get many, many bodies. I am sure that the number of dead in Githurai was not one or two. I think the numbers are being suppressed, just like with the bodies that are supposed to be in Shakahola. I believe most of them were killed during Uhuru and Ruto's regime of people that were protesting, and they dumped their bodies there. They basically buried them in unmarked graves. So it will take time. I do not believe that as of now, many people should be relying on postmortem reports. Remember, in Kenya, postmortem reports are being produced by the same government that is killing people. They can forge them. They can try to minimize the number of deaths. They can mislead. They can give us wrong information. If anyone died during the protests mysteriously of gunshot wounds or even of blunt objects, then we know that these people were killed by the police. Nobody was going around, or a gang was not going around killing people all over town and all over the country. We know for a fact that the organized killing was done by the police of Kenya. I personally would be suspicious if the numbers are not in their 70s. But we can only go with the official numbers, and there are two organizations that are responsible: Kenya National Commission for Human Rights and the Human Rights Defenders. These are two organizations in Kenya that have proven to be reputable. I'm not sure what the other question was. I want to comment on one thing that Neto said that I thought I should comment on. When people say Ruto must go, they mean the entire government of Ruto. They don't mean that they are leaving Gachagua out. But you know, political protests, propaganda, and strategy and tactics dictate that you need one message that is catchy, that has caught fire, and you don't want to dilute it. So Ruto must go is the chant. We don't want to water it down with Gachagua. We know that when we say Ruto must go, we mean Ruto and the entire government, including Gachagua. And so that's very clear. I don't think we should dilute it with anybody else. I suspect that the ones who are calling for impeachment may want Gachagua to take over. That's why one of the reasons I'm very opposed to impeachment, apart from the fact that it's a non-starter, anything that is going to allow any one of these organized mafia to succeed one another must be opposed violently. I drop the mic.
Thank you so much.
Much as you take the course, we have 29 minutes to go, so it is good to people to keep that. I think we've been here more than 3 hours, so we had them 30 minutes. That should be okay.
So, yeah, there was still more questions, but that's okay. Sir John, and then Be Real.
Maj,
yes,
can you
I
hear me?
Hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. I'll text him and tell him that he's not hearing me. But anyway, he cannot drop because he's the host. If he drops, the whole space drops. Let's go by Sir John and then Be Real. And then Yaraduen in that order.
Yeah, so thank you and good evening. I hope I'm clear. I just wanted to pass a message to my fellow Gen Zs that we should focus on our mission to occupy State House. Yeah, I believe State House is just like an apartment, and we are the people. Ruto is just like a tenant, and anytime, if you want to access our property, we should have our time and everything that we have. Yeah, so to politicians, yeah, they should know we are leaderless, and hence we don't need any representation from anybody or political anything. We are leaderless, just like that. Yeah, so thank you so much, and good night.
Thanks. Actually, somebody has put a comment in a comment section. The first time Dr. Miguna held a space, there was this presidential space that was, speech in the TV that was to collide with his space. I experienced the same today, but it was done by another influencer who, in the beginning of the movement, was actually mocking people. So he went out there and just set a space, 30 minutes after ours. So more of just to try to divert attention, because of course he knows that we're hosting this space here. So that always makes me wonder, what are people afraid of, that they keep diverting listeners, either directly or if it becomes too obvious through paid influences. That's really sad out there. But anyway, that's the situation we will.
Marge, you can just call him out. We know who he is. I think it is just good we call him out so that people are in a position to know that person. Because actually, if you listen to his spaces each and every
Maj dropped. What is happening? Okay, who's going next?
Hillary, we can hear you.
Kingston, are you talking?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Is there somebody talking? Because
No, I think they've dropped. All these people are dropped. When you can go ahead, then Nation, as they come, let me figure it out what's happening with them.
Thank you, Hillary. Thank you, the co-host that dropped. My bosses are here. Thank you so much to the guest speakers. Mine is going to be long. Now, I will echo what Esperance said, about at what point do we declare these abductions as crimes? And my point would be, whenever we go for picketing, then the police will come and clobber us. They beat us, others shoot us, and that's why we are talking about deaths. And their excuse is we are destroying properties and businesses. The last I checked, we are not responsible for the protection of people's businesses and properties. That is a mandate given to the government. Now, my question is to the guest speakers, and I really wanted Emeritus to be here, so he guides me without too much English and too many English. When I say too many English, I mean semantics. We are all Kenyans and we know. Last time, Daktari, my friend, you told us we need to take photos or videos. Maybe you need to check on Faith Odhiambo's page so you can see her frustrations with the photos and the videos that we share. Now, I am not a lawyer, but there's this part of self-defense. This is where my question comes in. At what point during these protests do we self-defend? Do we also carry our weapon to beat these policemen? Because they say we are stealing. They are the same people who are on camera stealing. Now, at what point do we now self-defend, and how can we self-defend? Minus, telling us the videos and the photos, because they are so not helping. Look at Faith Odhiambo's page, you will see you will want to go record that case and get an OB number. You'll not even get it. So how do we self-defend? Thank you.
Thanks. Hillary, can you now hear me?
I can hear very well, Marge.
So
Go ahead.
anytime I say something critical, I'm always dropped. Hello, NSI. Yes, keep dropping me. The point I was saying is this one. Yeah, it cannot be that when a senior citizen wants to hold a space, we are in a democratic space. Then directly the other day, it was through the presidential press conference, that they tried to divert the viewers. Now, and I am really using the word allegedly here, I'm not mentioning names, but we had, this is an influencer, but at the beginning was really trashing people, and if you went there and went to speak about anything about finance bill, he was even say, what are you talking about? Why are you complaining? So really, it still hasn't come out to say, to be really behind the movement, or to support the people. So it is very curious that the day Miguna decides to do a space, 30 minutes later, he's also doing a space. And I saw that, and somebody has just commented on that and tagged a few people to just highlight this is what is happening. Then I'm taken off the space. I've repeated it that there. Stop fearing, because the more you fear, the more you even show us who we are supposed to listen to. We are taking notes. Over to you, Hillary. Yeah.
But Marge,
Yes.
Let us not talk like we fear anybody. And if you want to expose them, name them. This idea of saying allegedly, I don't know what is actually fear. Don't even use the word allegedly. Just name people, just like I do. How come they have not taken me to court? What do you guys fear? Don't fear these tags. Call them tags unapologetically.
Thank you, Dr. We are still training.
Yes, so call them tags unapologetically. Truth is an absolute defense in law. Nobody can take you to court for speaking the truth.
Yes.
And can I quickly just, Nyaradwen asked, do we have a right to self-defense? You do. Just like if somebody comes to your house and wants to invade it, you are allowed even up to the point of killing the person, if that is considered appropriate force. If a person comes with a knife, then you are allowed to overpower that person, including killing them, because if you don't, they can kill you. So the point is, it's a constitutional right to defend yourself. But we would always urge people to be peaceful, because the state has the monopoly of
My
violence.
concern is here about our fellow youth who are still in prison today.
So Chege, I'll need to please mute your mic. Otherwise, you will speak, but just mute your mic. Dr. Continue.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is this: you are allowed to use as much force as considered reasonable. The reason why we are urging people not to use any force and not to carry any weapons is because it is a trap. They want you to carry weapons because they have monopoly over violence. They have a license to kill. They are given guns that they can shoot and they can kill people. So we don't want to contest or to be competing with them over violence. Because the moment you do that, we lose the script. We can be blamed by the media, by the international community, by everybody else as being reckless. So we say, let's remain vigilant. Let's restrain ourselves from being violent. Let's not uh, let's not fall into their trap. But if somebody attacks you and you're a group of people and you can overpower them, tie them up and leave them there on the street or pick them up and take them to police stations. The question about running away when you can tie these people up or you can overpower them should not be asked. Use your head. If it is dangerous, don't do it. If it is not, arrest these people and tie them up.
Daktari, maybe to echo to what Marge was saying, this person that has been trying to infiltrate our spaces, his name is Andrew Kibe. And if you can even look at his spaces, you can see today he's, I think he had
My friend,
6
let's
or
not
7.
give Kibe attention. Kibe is nothing, he's an insect. Let's not give an insect attention, please.
Now, Dr. You understand why I was not mentioning
Yeah.
names.
That's
Thank
what
you.
he's looking for. He's looking for us to talk about him. My friend, please. You are giving a tag, an insect, to boast how we were discussing him.
Yeah, I can hear you. Did you say Kenyan lady? Sorry.
Yes, please go, and then Kenya will go after you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for this platform, and I will go quick. I will try my best to express myself within the 2 minutes. Now, Dr. Miguna na wanasheria wote wenye wako hapa, asanteni kwa kuja. My question is one. We cannot postpone, or rather, you can correct me. Are we able to actually postpone or just say, hey, because the main thing that we've been having in Kenya is the looting, okay? And the looting is like, I can't even explain, to an extent of us not being able to pay our bill. And it is not that Kenyans are not paying the bill, it's because our money is being looted. So here is my question, because we cannot postpone, whatever the amount we have borrowed, we cannot say, hey, hatutalipa hizi pesa. What can we do? So this is what that's one of my questions. And then the second question for me is that we have a lot of corruption, and that's the reason why we have not been able to foot this bill. And majority of this bill is actually arguable that we had paid and whatnot, but I don't want to go to that. So when it comes to the looting, just like we have witnessed a Ministry of Health working parallel to the main Ministry of Health, for lack of better word, what Hanifa has been doing for for the people that have died, may God rest their souls, is like a ministry, a totally separate ministry, while we have the mainstream ministry that's supposed to be doing this, compensating the people that have died, following up with their funerals and consoling with them. It has not happened, but we have seen from the contributions of Mwananchi, everything has been working smoothly, and majority of the people, actually everyone so far, has been compensated. As the rest come in, we hope that this can be sorted. So I am wondering, kunaweza kuwa na kitu kama bunge la wananchi ambapo we can have, because the biggest problem is that the looting happens, there is actually documentation, but then this documentation is not able to reach to people. And the biggest problem being that we have so many whistleblowers out there, but we are not able to reach to that information, or if they reach to that information, it is deemed that, it cannot be used or whatnot. If we can have maybe not a task force, I don't know what word that I can use. We can have wanasheria ambao can open a platform where even people in these ministries, they want to tell us, they want to tell the public, this is how this money was stolen, this is how this went, this is how this went. But they don't know, they don't have a way in which they can air those grievances. Like, for instance, Rais alitumia 200 million, 2.4 million per hour to hire a private jet from taxpayers' money to come to the US. We know there are people who have those documents, the legitimate documents, but we know we are not able to fight that. How about we can have an anonymous depository of those documents where they can be received and reviewed by attorneys, and then from then we can see how we will recover our money, because we need to recover the loot. Again, I'm speaking to the fact that we cannot just say, hey, we don't have a bill. We borrowed this money and Kenyans have to foot it. But how do we do it? We have to recover that money from those people who've been stealing. Watu wenye wana, waving 20 million in Harambees. We need to actually be able to know how to get that money back so that it can be paid back. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mkenya. Sorry, a Kenyan lady. There's a Kenyan lady and then there's Mkenya. Mkenya, go. Please take a minute to just finalize. Mkenya, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I've been now told that the sound that was confusing you was a token sound. Yeah, back to you.
Hey, Maju, jalipia token ya Germany. Okay, straight to it. I just wanted to tell this the message to Gen Zs who are here. I want to tell them one thing: we are on the right track. And when I'm saying this is it's 3.5% that brings the change. It's a rule, a 3.5% rule. You can read about it on Google about it. But what we are talking about, we are now in the 60%. So it means we are on the right track. I want to tell, I've listened to this conversation and I want to tell all Gen Zs, the thing now they can do to us is self-fear. They've done that and we are not supposed to buy it. That's the most they can do at this point. They've run out of options. And the moment, don't wake up and wait from Kenya Daima to tell you to be out there. It is your presence that will bring the change. That is what I want you to understand. Your value, it doesn't have to come from an influencer telling you to be out there. Don't wait for Maj. Don't wait for Miguna. Don't wait for Kimuzi. Don't wait for Anifa to tell you to be out there. I want you to be out there because your present is changed. That is what I want every Gen Z to understand. On 16th July, that is next week, let's all meet in all major towns. Be there, be present. Your presence is the change. Thank you. That's all I had to tell my fellow Gen Zs.
Thank you so much for that. Dr. over to you.
Yeah, Maj, I want to emphasize there are protests tomorrow. Let us not focus on the 16th. There is one tomorrow. They have been trying to divert people's attention from tomorrow. The 16th is meant as a red herring to divert attention from tomorrow. You can still have protests on the 16th. You can have protests every day. But there is one that was organized for tomorrow. But I think there are people who are pushing it off and trying to postpone it. We shouldn't allow that to happen. I also wanted to say the issue of debt we have dealt with here repeatedly. Legally, you are not allowed to pay illegal debts. I don't know why Kenyans believe that if I take debts illegally, then I can encumber the entire country to pay it for me. Even when I steal that debt, and put it in offshore accounts for my family. Kenyans are not responsible for debts that were taken illegally. And they are also not responsible for debts that have been paid many times over, but are still in the books because the IMF and the World Bank and our crooks in Nairobi have conspired to continue stealing from the country. Those are odious debts. We have no obligation to pay them. Number 3, we have been through this already. We know of trillions of shillings that have been stashed abroad and some locally. We are demanding that this is the money that once we get Ruto out of power, because he can't do this, we should be able to locate this money, repatriate it back to Kenya, and pay back legitimate debt. The rest we should use for developing our country. Ruto and his thugs do not honor us. Play over serfs. Kenya is an independent country, a sovereign country, and we must exercise our sovereignty directly by telling Ruto, we are sovereign, we are free, nobody is going to enslave us. And this language of slavery, which I hear a lot on these spaces, we have to liberate ourselves from them. Let us not talk like Ruto chains us somewhere and forces us to do these things. If he wants to pay the odious debt from the money that he has stolen, let him go ahead and do that. They have stolen enough. Let us say enough is enough.
Thank you so much, Dr. 6,000, I see you. But kindly allow me to put Enoch first. He'd drop. People are dropping. They're requesting for the mic and dropping. Even me, I dropped at one point. So
And Maja, I
Enoch,
think the CJ was supposed to come back. He was looking at the constitution and he wanted to come back and answer some questions.
yes, I cannot see him on the mic. Kindly check with him and then I add him so that he can answer. Yeah, I can't see him on the mic, on the request panel. Yeah. So now Enoch and then Ahmed and then 6,000, 2 minutes each.
Okay, I'm counting my time. I think it is clear, and we are making a statement to all African readers, not only Kenya, that as young generation, we have gone to school, we are learned, we know what we want. We want good leadership. We are where we are because of the bad leadership we have been experiencing before, and the backdoor agreements all these bad leaders have been making before. That's why we are in this bad situation. You cannot tell me that, like today, it was all over the news. We cannot account for 1.3 trillion which have been taken in the last 11 years. We cannot account for it. Imagine how much that money could have been done, how many new cities it could have been built, how many development that money could have done, like that this young generation could be having jobs, so they can focus on their jobs and not these demonstrations. It's because their leadership has failed. Corruption is like the engine of this country. These are the things we want them to we want these leaders to understand. We don't want them to be involved with us. What we want is change. All of them must go. Another thing is, I really don't know. I saw there are some prominent guys here. I wanted to ask something. What happened to Konza City? What happened to Tatu City? I think like Konza City was supposed to start in the year, I don't know, 2011, 12, 13. What happened to that? All these beautiful projects that really come to Kenya, what happens to them? Why can't we see some developments that as young generation we can say like, yes, we are proud, this is our country? Why are we not talking of new airports in Kenya? Why are we not talking of subway stations in Kenya? Why are you telling me that I have to visit Dubai to experience the the first class, I don't know, development, how it feels like? Those are the things we want to experience them here in Kenya. We have the resources, we have the capacities. It's only that we have bad leadership. I just want that question of corruption, how we can tackle corruption in a better way. Number two, we have an issue of pending bills. I
Oh,
understand and
that we
okay.
discussed that intensively, Enoch. We discussed the pending bills, but please do land in 1 minute. I'll share with you. We really discussed it intensively. Please do in 1 minute, and kindly let's try to stick to the the topic. No dialogue, no retreat, no surrender. Yes, back to you, Enoch. Yeah.
Yes.
I cannot hear you. I hope I did not distort your thoughts so much. Sorry. Yeah.
The train has already left. We are not boarding. We are not stopping. We are moving. No surrender. We are moving forward, and that's what we want change in this country of ours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Enoch. I'll send you details, or maybe if you check the recording, you'll find detailed information about the bills you're discussing. So, Hillary, who was next? I think Abdi, Ahmed, and then 6,000. Abdi, 2 minutes each.
But I thought we were coming to a close anyway.
Yes, we are. Okay, fine.
No, it's okay. I mean, let them speak. Let them speak.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Let's have
Thank
those
you.
on the panel. Okay, those speak, and then Dr. will close. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Maj and Dr. and Hillary and everybody. Mine is just quick. It will be less than a minute. My take is we all ended up here because of lack of public participation and the government that did not want to listen. Gen Z has shown a remarkable unity and focus. How can we ensure they continue to avoid division along tribal line or political line and maintain their momentum in building a new Kenya? And that leads to my other question is what strategies can be used to protect Gen Z from this, from being fractured by politics and ensure it remains unified and progressive force and to reduce their vulnerability to political manipulation. Thank you. And I think Alhaji Mutunga talked about that in the beginning, and I'll still get back to the question back to him and for those few questions and remarks. Thank you.
All right. Mine is mainly to reiterate the statement that have been said all along for the last 3 weeks. The Constitution of Kenya is very clear. The sovereignty belongs to the people, and the people are us, not any other person who is in their imagination. And number two is that when we say the sovereignty belongs to the people, is that this sovereignty is the sovereignty. Sovereignty means here a right to determine self-determination, how we want to be ruled and whom we want to rule us. As long as it is within the constitution, we have the power. And in this protest, is yes, within the constitution. Article 37 was not just put there out of nowhere. It was put there out of necessity, out of situation that we faced before. And therefore, no one should sell us anything that there are laws that stop us from doing any other thing. Then number two is that this is our generational issue. It is not an issue for dialogue. It is not an issue about any other person. It is our generational issue. And it is our generation to determine what happens and how we want to ensure that happens. And the only mission here is one, constitutionalism, two, transparency, three, accountability, and lastly, all that means is Ruto must go, and anything that he stands for on the hangovers of the Kanu regime. Thank you so much.
Thanks. 6,000, and then I'm stealing minutes here for you guys because ideally we are closing 6,000 a minute, and then we'll have closing remarks. I see
and there are people who are sitting indoors waiting for us to go there and fight for them. We are fighting for our own country. Guys, I'll tell you this. Kama mdosi wako amekukalia, mwambie you are a Kenyan before you started doing his work. And go on those streets and fight for a better Kenya. Nobody is going to sit indoors. Me, I'll tell you this for free. Tutoke si wote twende streets, and that is how we will win this war. Mimi mambo ya kukuja spaces, we come on these spaces daily. We talk, we don't action. And the moment we don't action, the government beats us on our own game. Ruto is a strategist. Look what he did on Tuesday. Just put a press conference before Mandamano starts at 10 a.m. And that one, he has beaten you in that game because you have to wait for that press before you go to that Mandamano. If we could have been in time, in negotiate. There is no room for negotiation. Talking stage we have left for our girlfriends and our family. Right now we are fighting for this country, and as a patriot of this country, kindly don't sit indoors and wait because you are being paid 20,000, 30, 50, paying job. Wacha kukaa kwa nyumba because your boss, I don't know, my job needs you. Right now your country needs you more than anything. Ayo and Kowino, and we were there. On Sunday we were there. All protests, we always find ourselves there, alone, fighting for this country. But other people, wanangoja waambiwe tutoke twende. Unangoja nani? Toka tukutane tao. Occupy CBD. The president should know these people. And I'm saying this with anger. And if there is anybody who want to arrest me because I told people to go out, come and arrest me. I'll gladly give you my location where I stay because I don't fear death. If there is nothing I fear, me, I don't fear death. I only mununue shuka ya 30 bob, munifunge kama nyama, mwende munizike. Don't spend a lot of money on me. Guys, let's wake up and fight for our nation.
Which we tended to oppose, but now it is real that this revolution will be more lethal if we target the soft underbelly that has characterized what is normalized as the vice in the current political class, what I call materialistic consequentialism, in the sense that people don't say the end justifies the means, even if the means is impure. So can we fight this materialistic consequentialism philosophy and position within the political class? Because this is the root cause of rottenness in our society. And as I conclude, Professor Kivuta Kibwana yesterday on this space gave a very moving example of the youth, because of despair, unemployment, social pressures, are going for what we call aided suicide. They have been contemplating suicide, and that is why they are now daring the guns, the live bullets, so that it can be an easy alternative. They call aided suicide. So it is that grave, and we must act fast so that we can liberate the future for the youth out of this mass unemployment and economic disenfranchisement. Thank you, Dr. Rees.
Thank you so much, Nashon. Now we close. So closing remarks from Tony Gashoka, then Dr. Mutunga, and then Dr. Miguna. And as they do that, let's not forget to build the network by following each other. So do follow the host, co-host speakers, then look left and right and follow each other. Tony?
Well, I want to close by reminding Kenyans that there was no greater army, more armed to the teeth than the Boers of South Africa. They had tanks on the street, they had machine guns, and even did the Soweto massacre where they murdered children en masse. By the end of the uprising in South Africa, they were running to remove Mandela from jail, forcing him to leave so that he can bring some order in South Africa. I want to give hope to this nation. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., only when it's dark enough can you see the stars. I also want to take this opportunity because of time to thank Hilary and Marge and all of you by hosting this space, because I tell you, even in democratic evolutions, we always talked about the fourth estate, meaning media. But media has transformed in the internet age to become where we are now. Where we are is where the people are. To create communication and information is what will create the resolve and the determination of our people to liberate themselves, so that one day we can say we are free at last, and thank God Almighty, we are free at last. With those very many words, I want to encourage everyone that every day we wake up, we must wake up with one conviction, that Ruto is no bigger than Moi and others who have gone before him. Ruto must go. And if you make the decision, the numbers of the Jay-Z, the numbers of Kenyans are in their millions. We will have more than 17 to 20 million votes by the time we reach 2027. Ruto will go, and Ruto must go.
Thank you so much, Tony. Over to you, Dr. Mutunga.
Thank you. Actually, I didn't drop off. Somebody called Degwa, or who also weighed in, and Neto. So I don't want to go there, except to say we're talking a political movement here. So if there are, and I know there are some Gen Zs that, and I've been told by some people that there are some people who have gone to court actually under Article 1, basically seeking to withdraw the delegated authority, of some institutions, and that they want to exercise their sovereign power, directly. Okay, it could be a strategy, but I mean, if certain GCs want to go the court route, and others don't want, I think these strategies have to be, to be discussed, because I think if they want to go to court, somebody is going to say that the judiciary can't, can't deliver, the right judgment. There could be a debate around that. Let's flag that issue, as an issue of strategy. But fundamentally, I agree that what is happening is actually a political movement that even if it's going to use the legal path at any point, it will be doing that, to aid the fundamental, political strategy, and that's what I wanted.
have spoken, and I thank the Gen Zs and the millennials for leading the struggle. I want to say three things. Number one, this struggle does not belong to one generation. I have been on this already, and I think we should make this clear every time. This is the struggle of our ancestors as much as it is our struggle and the struggle of the Gen Zs and also the millennials. Because what our ancestors and our grandparents fought for during colonialism, we have not obtained. We don't have our land back. Our sovereignty belongs to us and does not have to be vested on us by anyone, but it's been subverted successively by successive regimes. For we need to get that. We don't have all the freedoms that we assert we have in the Bill of Rights, including the freedom of association, including the freedom to protest, calling us violent when we are just speaking. Gen Z, therefore he should not be speaking. That I, Miguna, am not a Gen Z, therefore I should not be speaking. That's parochialism. That's separation stands on the shoulders of the previous one. Without that, there is no need for a struggle and we can never succeed. So, messages and ideas into our heads. We are together in this struggle. We are not united, we are not divided. The fourth point is this, and I have seen it. As I have said before, they have made messages and they are spreading messages of confusion. Let us not allow ourselves to be confused. We could be demonstrating and protesting every single day. There is not one day that is reserved for protests. As I have seen, that they were saying that the previous protests of last week failed, but there were people in Mulolongo and other places that were protesting and were very successful. The protests are going on all over the country. It's not just in Nairobi. Let's make it organic. Let's continue to do so. Let's make it huge. And it does not matter if only a handful show up. It does not matter as long as we continue on it until we achieve our goals. I wanted to say that we cannot call the martyrs, the people who have been murdered by the state goons, as having committed aided suicide. That kind of language is dangerous. These people did not go, they went there to protest in exercise of their constitutional rights. But they did not go there to invite the police to shoot them. When they die, we should call them heroes. We should not say that they committed suicide or they wanted themselves to be killed. No. They were killed by cold-blooded murderers. Let us call the killers murderers. Let us not blame the victims. Let's blame the perpetrators. The last point I want to make is basically in response to my friend CJ. CJ, I actually believe that going to court is not a good strategy because it attempts to validate something that doesn't need to be validated. Our rights under Article 1 do not need validation by the courts. This is something that I was being told when Uhuru Kenyatta forced me into exile. And people are telling me, oh, the courts gave you. The courts did not give me any rights. The courts simply affirmed the rights. So if somebody is going to court for the affirmation, no problem. But we should not make anybody think that if the court does not affirm it, therefore the right does not exist. Because the danger is, if you go to court saying we have the right under Article 1 to exercise our sovereignty directly, what if the court says no? And then you give the regime the weapon now to attack you, saying the court has already ruled that you cannot do what you are doing. So therefore you fold and you call off the protest. I think that is not a strategy. That is actually naive. That is trying to buy into something that you have no control over. We already have the constitution which we gave ourselves. That's enough. Let's not look for validation from the courts, because the courts can be used against us. We should only go to court for things that we are almost certain that even if the court rules against us, it cannot be used by the regime. That would be good strategy. So as I leave, I would like to say, I don't think that this organic, tribeless, leaderless movement should be controlled by anyone, including the ones that are spreading posters saying demonstrations can only happen on this day or that day, or between these hours and these hours. And that makes me agree with 6,000 who said the less spaces, the better. But spaces are important spaces for mobilization, for asserting our rights. But the more of us on the streets rather than the spaces, the better. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend. No, have a good day. Have a good afternoon. For those who are where it is morning, have a good morning. Let us continue the struggle. A luta continua. Viva.
Thank you so much, General, and thanks everyone also for listening. And so now, Hillary, come on and close the meeting. As we wait for Hillary to close, Be Real, closing remarks. Oh, Hillary, are you there? Okay, Be Real, your closing remarks as we, yeah.
Good evening, Marge. Good evening, Daktari. We appreciate you, the two doctors, for your input and your insights. I want to appreciate everyone that was in this space for the humble cause. And it's not a struggle. I say it's a journey destined somewhere. So let's keep it up. Let's keep on with the fight. The dawn is soon. Have a blessed evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Be Real. Hillary, are you there? I think Hillary had some meeting also in the parallel, so let me give her more time. Daktari, Daktari and Tony, thank you so much. Feel free to take a leave as I wait for Hillary to come on board again, because otherwise we it's only him who can close the space. As we wait for Hillary, I'll give you guys 15 minutes. So those who are waiting, just or Tony, do you want to say something as I give people 15 minutes and then we can close? Okay, so then let me add and then get Hillary. You. Okay, Kingsman. Kingsman, you haven't spoken.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I just wanted to maybe add on something that Daktari has said about us going to court. If you remember, there is a team that went to High Court when the CS for Defense deployed the military. And I think as that Nini was making his submission or a submission on that day, I can't remember the gender very well, but someone came to the spaces and said that the magistrate or the judge at the High Court at that point was called in the middle of the Zoom proceedings that were happening at that time, and she went offline for like 30 or 40 minutes. And then when she came, because the constitution is very clear on when, as we've seen, and I've even shared on the comment side of this our space, like when you can use when you can deploy the military, and I think Daktari has spoken on it, and it was well elaborated. But after people went to High Court for determination or for clarity on the same, I think the judge went behind the scenes, and when she came back, she came with, I don't know how she mutilated or manipulated the judgment, and then she said that yes, it can be deployed on this and this and this, and that, I think that is the same day that the military was deployed across the 47 counties in the country. So as Daktari has said, that some of these things that you might go to court trying to get a determination, and then they end up being the Yeah, back to you,
Thank you
Maj.
so much. So, Tony, I see that you came back.
Yeah, yes, no, no, I dropped as you asked me to say a part in short. And I just wanted to say, Marge, look, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. We must not beat ourselves too much, because a lot has been achieved in less than 60 days of great proportions. I mean, you're dealing with a very selfish, rogue regime that really we must thank God that we've been able to bring some sense into the finance bill of 2024 that would have destroyed this nation through punitive taxation. We've been able to scare a lot of the members of parliament who now are thinking twice before they do anything else in parliament, which may help them police the IBC for us, because they are fearing how the Jay-Zs and how all of us are holding them to account. So remember that these demonstrations are not just targeting Ruto. They are targeting his enablers, the people who also will fall by the wayside. I want to remind this country, people like Musalia Mudavadi cannot sleep at night. They had succession plans. People like Rigathi Gachagua, all these people were lining up to be able to bequeath themselves power via Ruto in the future. Now comes this revolution that completely destabilizes them. And once you destabilize the foundation and the pillars of any building, cracks emerge. And engineers in this space will tell you those buildings will come down. And that is why I give this space the example of South Africa, because nobody ever believed apartheid could fall, because the Boers had everything, including the military. So I just want to encourage everybody that this kind of communication we are doing, giving each other comfort and strength, is the way in which armies are founded. And that is how Britain was able to defeat Germany in the Second World War, because Churchill did not have a big country. He didn't have military numbers, but he had the heart of a lion, and he fought and fought until the last day. So I want to encourage everybody to believe that we can. And yes, we can, and Ruto will go. And thank you so much for this space.
Thank you so much for staying with us and for creating the time to come and speak to us. So, guys, we've already closed. And so we're just waiting we've extended it by 15 minutes as we wait for Hillary to settle and close the space, because it's only the host who can close the space. So let's take this chance to provide the opportunity to those who have spoken. So take note that the official space has ended, but your questions, if you still have questions for Dr. Miguna and Dr. Mutunga, and also Tony, you could just pose them also, and then they will come and listen to the rest of the space and answer to you via tweets. Let's go by graduate and then Moses.
Well, thank you so much, Madge, for this opportunity. I had much to say, but unfortunately, my time is short. I want just to say one thing, that personally, as Gen Z, I'm quite disappointed by these self-appointed gatekeepers who are trying to gatekeep this revolution, and they are trying to call for some backdoor dialogue and whatever, which we have really spoken outrightly that we are not going to board. So what I would wish as comrades, we let us deplatform these guys. If we see some sellouts, if we see these politicians who are dining with the oppressors at the expense of the blood of Kina Rex, Kina Desert. Me, I was there on 25th, and I can tell you, Many of the people who you are seeing negotiating and cutting deals have never been to the streets. So it's so disappointing to see comrade die as someone who live in Githurai and whatever. It's so it's so inhumane to see some stuff. So what I can ask of us is, let us not give these people so platform. I've seen Wanga like today claiming that the Luos are not gonna be in the process. This is the tribeless movement. So ukisikia hizo ma sentiments za politician about this tribe, oh, I am telling you as your kingpin, don't come to the street. Please don't listen to them. We are tribeless. We are one people. Revolution has always been hijacked by opportunists, and you know them. I'm not going to mention them. So let us be focused, and I know God is going to see us through. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, graduate. You see, like when you live your day-to-day life, tribe mostly does not even take the center. You know, when you faint, when you're walking on the street and you faint, nobody's going to mind about your tribe. They're going to go like, oh my gosh, somebody fainted, let's help. But the tribe issue is mostly brought about by politicians when they need, then they need to use it, to divide and rule. So yes, I really underline your point and say, let no one, divide people using tribe. So Moses and then Mara, there's a lady I added. I wanted to hear a lady too, but she's dropped again. People are dropping. Okay, Moses and then Morara and then Pigeon. 2 minutes each.
Thank you so much, Maj. Thank you so much. I think I'll just be in line with what Dr. Miguna was actually talking about unity. And to me, what I want to say, like, out of what we've seen from our leaders today, we are seeing people that are very selfish. And I think one of the speakers just said, we are not really coming here to fight about Ruto. Let me tell you one thing that we came into realization at the start of this fight. I know most of us didn't really come to know it, but it is something that really was not right with some certain individuals or leaders that we are having, who are so selfish and so full of themselves, who are so much onto not even serving the people that really elected them. And we are seeing it coming out strongly, and they are so much mad into this movement and calling it names. So all I would want to encourage all of us is like, let's work together. Let us stand firm in our ground, knowing really what we want for this country, without any fear, any favor, like you're favoring somebody because this is somebody I know, this is somebody I support, this is my party leader. That is not going to pay your bill. That is not going to take you to the next level. It is not going to take us to the next level as a country. And Dr. said it. Let the movement stand strong. Let the movement stand focused under one thing. And what all we want as a country is it's so very direct into actioning. The leaders know already what they want to do. Why do we want to waste time into the old tactics that have never worked? This is a new generation and it's a new era. And we have to come and stand for our country. We have to come and stand and let's bring all these people. We know we have all these leaders, even in our constituencies, our wards, our whichever countries that we belong to, are so much out here talking but doing less of work. And now by the time we are coming and demanding action, I know some of them are even already shaken and they're like, oh no, give it a dialogue. The other party is so much into wisdom and he knows, or when he speaks is right. No, that is not right. We all are leaders. These are just our representatives. And if people that we elect to come and do the representation they're supposed to do and they're no longer able to do it, let them just step aside. Let them calm down. And that is only possible by us coming and standing our ground. So this is
Yeah.
our fight, man.
Thanks so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Moses.
Thank you so much.
Let's have
Yes.
Morara next and then Pigeon. And so kindly 2 minutes each so that others can also speak. We still have over 100 people requesting for the mic, though we were trying to close let's close the top of the hour. I hope by then Hillary will be back. If you have questions for Dr. Miguna, Dr. Mutunga, and Kashoka, do shoot. Morara?
Thank you very much. Some of you may know me from the speech that I did, where I mimicked what Ruto should have said when he came on stage and spoke to us. And I wrote a speech about how he should have spoken to the Kenyan people. And since then, I've had a very keen interest about how we proceed forward. One of the things I've noticed is that the fact that we are leaderless has both impacted us positively and also negatively. Positively in the sense that corrupt people like William Ruto, whose way of life is they buy people out and they bribe anything that works. They've been unable to find the leader of this revolution for them to bribe it, to bribe him or to buy him off. Well, the other the disadvantage of being leaderless has been that in some cases we've lacked direction. Because, for instance, we've had very good opportunities that were wasted. Now, even as we are on these Twitter spaces, we should be aware that the NIS is listening in and that the West are our enemies, especially the IMF, the United States, the CIA, and Cambridge Analytica. And these are very, very powerful enemies. These are people who have softwares that can analyze millions of social media accounts within minutes. Cambridge Analytica can actually create millions of fake accounts within a day and create fake content using AI. So we have very powerful enemies that are supporting this useless regime. And those enemies are going to provide them with information, with data. The only advantage that we have is that we have God on our side. It just looks like it's our moment that has come. So it seems even as we go to battle, God is ahead of us. So our enemies keep falling in front of our faces. Yeah. And sometimes it's not because of our own effort or because of our intellect or because of our ingenuity, but merely because I think God has also made a decision that it is time. Yeah. So I am really holding my heart in my hands and hoping that we don't fail. I am happy that the dialogue flopped. I was really worried. When I saw it on TV, I was unable to eat lunch. I was unable to eat anything until in the evening when I saw most of the Gen Zs and millennials and people from other generations, they're actually not supporting those talks because I knew it's a trap. Yeah. Remember, whenever they want to slaughter us, they put us into a committee. And I'll give you two examples. When Raila was unable to convince his core principals to support him
But Morara,
to be the
it
running
was
mate,
supposed to be only 2 minutes. There is still over 100.
add me 30
So,
seconds.
yeah, so please take the 30 seconds to land. Back to you.
When Raila was unable to convince his core principals to support him as the candidate, what did he do? He created a task force, a committee with Adam Zolo and Mudhama. And you guys know the end of that story. When ODM tried real grassroots elections, you saw men in black. They came and scuttled the otherwise very peaceful democratic elections so that those party officials who walikuwa kina Babu na Mwamba and Joho and kina Oparanya, they don't get the mandate of the people to be leaders of the party. Then he gave them positions of acting secgen, acting deputy chair, so that whatever they receive is like a gift. It does not come as a mandate. So this is a book that Ruto has borrowed from Raila. Anything a committee right now is a slaughterhouse. The politicians of this country know what our problems are. Let them act upon it. If they cannot act upon it, let's act upon them. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Pigeon, then Kimutai. 2 minutes each, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, and greetings to all of you. I will say that we are not reformists. We are revolutionaries. We are not here to give punctures to where it is spoiled, to try to mend and bring or either repair the cracks. We are here to bring down the house. As reformists, we are here to bring a system that has failed us since independence. This is a system that has been here for 60 years. It failed our grandfathers, it failed our fathers, and we are not ready to wait for it to be failing us again. The people we are fighting today are offsprings of a failed system. And the good thing now they've been exposed, they call each other's brothers. Indeed, they have been brothers all along, and they're uniting. So they are awake and they're uniting. And therefore, we, the people, must also unite. No matter the resources they have, the mightiness and our commitment will make us bring them down. No matter what it takes, we will bring them down. Their days are numbers. They have eaten and survived on our sweats and our blood for 60 years. 60 years down the line. So my encouragement is very clear. We won't sit on the table with our oppressors. It is not about us versus them. It is us for ourselves. And the bloods of our comrades will never allow us to sit with them. The bloods of our comrades will always inspire us to move forward forever. So, comrades, it's just very clear that we will never give in to them. Never. Their tactics are failures, and we'll never allow them to fail us again. As I've said again, we are revolutionaries. We are not going to reform anything. We are not going to dialogue in anything. We are going to bring the whole Babylonian system down to build a system for the people and by the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pigeon, and also thanks for really sticking to the time. Kimutai, we go, and then Frank, and then Kelvin.
Thank you for the mic. I really, really, first of all, want to appreciate you guys. I've enjoyed the 2-3 hours of the space we had with Dr. Miguna and Dr. Mutunga, and of course the various interesting ideas that I've had over the whole space period. Quickly, I think I'll agree with with Mr. Pigeon. We should not relent. We should hold accountable this government. Secondly, we need to hold account our institutions. People fail, systems and institutions do not. We need to really empower institutions. Thirdly, there has to be political goodwill at the end of the day. You remember President Kibaki, remember Matiangi. We may not all like him, but I mean, if you look at the political goodwill that actually had to be there for things to get done, that is the kind of level of political goodwill we need. So we just have to soldier on, be forthright, have our objectives in order, be very, very courageous, and just stick to it until it is done. I yield my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Go on.
Kemotai.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was Kemotai, then
It is
Dr.
Frank.
Kelvin. And Kemotai,
Frank, but
thank
he's
you.
dropped.
Oh,
I
Frank.
see he's dropped. Let me add him. But as we wait for him, let's go to Dr. Frank had dropped. Let's go to Dr. Kelvin, and then okay. But really, it's okay. You can take on. But Dr. Kelvin is not speaking.
No, I just wanted
Okay.
to highlight. I just wanted to highlight what Kemotai has said. I would really urge us to shelve ourselves a lot from fronting some certain names, because as much as they were performers, we really shying off from associating with anyone, because it would give them some kind of ideas, and we really want totally new blood with no allegations, people with integrity and people with reputable characters. So I was actually urging in another space that let us try to shy off from trying to front certain names. We know each and every leader that has actually walked the journey with full integrity and with a lot of reputation around them. So certain names were deliverers in certain posts they were given once, but at the moment, this is a new, fresh blood, and it does not tie anybody. That's why whatever happened during the day, was it yesterday, March, about somebody signing and fronting for dialogue? This is more than an individual. This is about Kenyans. So as you take the speakers, as you walk this journey, shy off from trying to front a particular leader. Go on, the next speaker. I can see him either. Dr. Kevin.
Okay, if you cannot speak, let's go to Kahama, then Fabish, and then Dan Risky. Kahama? Okay, Fabish? Can the speakers hear me? Probably they cannot. Those on the speaker panel, if you can hear me, please.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I can hear you.
Then please go.
Thank you so much. You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Maj and Hilary, for taking your time and bringing us together so that we can continue, to discuss and chat our way forward. I don't have much to say because the speakers that have spoken ahead of me, I think they have nearly dissected everything. Mine is only just to say that Ruto never ceased to amaze everyone. It was barely 1 year ago when he was chest thumping and saying that there will be no dialogue, there will be no Nusumkate, there will be no, discussion. What we'll be discussing with Raila is a journey to Bondo. Here he is now that he see that things have gone west. That now is requesting for dialogue to save himself. A leader who doesn't have principles. I remember the late Mwalimu Julius Nyerere when he says that there are some leaders that they don't have principle ambao wako na tabia ya umalaya. And I think it is a good description of our president. And what I want to add again is that what we see now, I fear for our country because we might even have a security problem because Ruto has created a lot of enemies with other countries when he go to put involve himself in Russia, talk of aggression of Palestine and all this, and yet here now, instead of even focusing on whether we might have external security threat, is just here fighting the normal citizens that they are asking for good governance and fighting for corruption, and want to better their country. Instead of focusing on external issues, now is focusing on internal, fighting his own people. This is someone that does not mean well for this country. And it is not something even to discuss. So when people are saying that Ruto cannot govern, Ruto cannot bring change, it's not because people are personal with him, but he does not have that capacity. I think he just ascended that power because of his selfish ego, to fulfill his ego, but he didn't have any idea, he didn't have any roadmap, to take us to another level. So, and I agree with anybody that we say we don't have any discussion. Many discussions we did with him during when he was doing campaign. Youth signed a lot of charter with him, and now it is over. He has failed, and he has failed. What he just needs is to be reasonable and honorably resign. That is what I can say now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fabish. We go to Sandra so that we can also hear a lady's voice. Sandra, over to you. Sandra, can you hear me? Then let's go to Dan Risky. Sandra cannot hear me. Tony, can you hear me? Okay, whoever can hear me on the panel, please speak the mic. I think we're having some issues here. Be real. Can you hear me? Tony, go.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Mine will be very brief. I want, first of all, to congratulate the young people who have stood in this cause and fought relentlessly for this wonderful cause. For 21 days, you have, quote unquote, been able to hold William Ruto incommunicado. In Kenya, he has not gone anywhere. Something that he has broken record for the last, I think, 1 year or so because he has been, flying all over the world. So it's a good thing that your voice has been heard, and don't be scared for the cause that you're fighting for. Because someone said that if there is nothing worth living for, if there is nothing worth dying for, then there is nothing worth living for. So young people, continue with the same spirit. Those who can fight on the street, do it. Those who can do it via the mainstream media, do it. Those who can voice through writing, through newspaper writings and all that, those who can use all other means, please do whatever you can in your disposal, so that this message can go a long way. All that we are asking, and it is not too much to ask. You know, there's something I had written like 2 days ago, I think, about a theory called the dead horse theory. You know, when you realize that you're riding a dead horse, the best thing you need to do is to dismount it. And you find many times people trying to fight, or rather to come up with other means of trying to do it. You know, they try to set committees to investigate this dead horse. They try to go to other countries to see how you can ride dead horses, to all manner of stupidity, you know. But the honorable thing is to dismount it. William Ruto has realized that he cannot, you know, he lied too much to people. He tried to tell them that I'm going to do this in 60 days time, in 6 months time, and all of a sudden we have seen, you know, he has no capacity to do it. There's this lady who said that if someone shows who they are, you better believe them the first time. Most of us who supported William Ruto, you know, we were deluded by the fact that the guy had perfected what we call the wedge politics. He learned the wedge politics proper and in the best way from Raila Odinga. You know, when in wedge politics, you try to allude the problems to somebody else. Like, you know why you are poor? It is because of this person. You know why you are disadvantaged? It is because the opportunity has been taken by this. So William Ruto perfected that. He said, you know why you the hustlers are poor? It's because the dynasties have been here for so long. We need to to bring them down, you know. And he was able to successfully do it. Then when he took power, he said, you know why you guys are not having houses? Is because those people who are having payrolls, they're not paying enough taxes. Let us charge them money to build houses for you. You know why this is being done because of this? It's because of this and that. You know, he perfected that to bring the division. Now he was trying to, now the card that they are trying to bring, which has backfired, is that, you know, you are not a villager, you are Kenyan, you know, you are forever. So they have tried to coin something to show to draw a demarcation between two categories of people. But now the Kenyans have realized, led by the young people, that these are not ordinary people that we are talking about here. These are people who have united to take advantage of us. And as I conclude, there's something I had written yesterday about the book that was written by Moise Aid Lee Jiro. You know, he narrated a very interesting story that Moi told him, that if you take your dog to the forest to hunt for foxes, wolves, and jackals, you must always remember that the dog is a distance cousin to the foxes, wolves, and jackals that you're going to hunt. So you are the odd one out. There is always a chance that the four animals may reunite against you. And that is what we saw yesterday in KICC. The dogs, the foxes, the jackals, and the wolves, they reunited on this IBC issue. You know, all politicians are distant cousins. And we, the people, are the one who are odd ones out. And unless we speak one voice, unless we speak with one voice, make one stand and united move, we will not win this war. But if we stand together without divisions, we are going to make these people respect the money that we pay for our taxes, respect the positions that we give them, and know that the power belongs to the people. If 1 million people appear in Nairobi today, there is no power, there is no military power that can dismantle these people. There is no police power that can kill 1 million people in Nairobi. So it is only a way of being united that we need to have. Be united, speak with one voice, and msimeona venye wamekuja mkia. Everybody now is speaking like, you know, let us listen to these people. Because the power is with the people. And the moment we realize that, and we have started realizing it, and we have started actualizing it, we are going to win this war. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tony. We are unfortunately not adding any other speakers because we are finishing at the top of the hour. So the speakers on the panel, please do take, let's say, a minute each to say something. I know the minute is not as sufficient, but we're closing at the top of that, so we have like 10 minutes. So Sanyu, Nderito, John, Dan, Scree, in that order. Sanyu is not picking up. Sanyu Kennedy. Then I go to Nderito. Nderito Njiraini. Okay. Also not picking. John. John Wanyama. Seems like no one else can hear me. In that case,
Can you hear
yes,
me?
Nderito, I can hear you now. Kindly proceed. 1 minute.
Am I being
Yes, you
audible?
are.
I liked the entire conversation we have had today, and it's a very forward thinking. But I'm thinking the biggest problem we have as a Kenyan government is that lack of ideas and lack of ways to move forward. Mostly based in the blue collar sector of the business of Kenyan economy, where I deal with mechanics and fundis. And I have realized the biggest problem we have is lack of skill labor. If a government will just move towards training our skilled labor, so that a person can do chips, microchips, a person
I think we lost.
this
Yeah.
country
Okay.
forward from. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. Please. Please do land in the this minute. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, yeah. Also, the argument that that's the biggest problem we have: ideas of how to move this country forward economically, because it's not about government. Even though you change the government or whoever, they have no ideas. So also housing. The problem is not the housing fund. The cost is the cost of borrowing. How much does a house, even though it's 20 million, how much interest do you pay on the house? So those are the issues we should deal with, and as we continue in our arguments and in our discussion, we should deal with what is the problem. Housing fund is not such a bad idea. The problem is what is the cost of the house. Even though Ruto is building houses for 4 million, who can afford 4 million houses at the interest?
I think we lost Nderito now.
Those issues
So
we are
they speak. Yeah.
we,
Okay. Nderito, please wind up now. Yeah. And then we
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Why don't you let the person that can hear us continue so that
Yes.
we can close?
Yes.
Good.
So on the panel, if you can hear us.
Sanyo?
Yeah. Sanyo cannot hear.
Sanyo, Danrisk, Alexia.
Okay.
If you can hear anyone, can you raise up your hand so that you know the people that are on the speakers? John, are you there?
Yeah. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, carry on, please.
Thank you, guys, and I'm happy for the conversation that we have brought across the country, and everyone is really looking for this conversation each and every time. And as we continue with the conversation to the country, as we look for the peace of the country, I would like also, as you go on, we look into the issue of education. CBC is really suffocating parents. CBC is not working to people, especially in rural areas. CBC is just not really doing good to our children. Let's also, as we continue, since we have brought this issue of interrogating and asking everything and putting questions across, we have, I've seen you not accepting, just for someone telling you that this is a color that is green, not accepting that it's just green, but you ask which shade of green are you telling us? Why that green? Can you also interrogate the issue of Health World Organization, the vaccines that they are giving our children? Why are we deworming our children now when we need food programs in our school? Why are we forcing it through schools? Why are we allowing HPV vaccines to our children, young virgin children, especially when I look at my daughter, I feel so sad that someone is pushing this. When Uganda is not really accepting this and is on the verge of withdrawing almost 25 vaccines, when they are withdrawing HPV vaccine that is not really necessary to our girls. Can we also ask questions, especially
Yeah.
in US?
So,
They eradicated COVID-19.
John,
They eradicated,
John, may I
yeah.
kindly interrupt you? When it comes to HPV vaccine, it's actually not a myth. Yeah, it is something that helps. The reason why it helps is that, and the reason why it's actually supposed to be given to both boys and girls. But in Kenya, it is only given to girls because the World Health Organization has put a policy there due to the reduced resources, so the boys cannot get that vaccine. The reason why they get it.
Let's just stop there, kindly. Let's just stop there. The question here is, what I'm saying is
I'm
that
the
we
host,
have
co-host
given
here.
ourselves.
Hold on. I'm the co-host here, and I'm speaking as an expert. It's not a hearsay. So let me finish my statement. So the reason why, because you see, misinformation is illegal in many countries. So the reason why I had to interrupt you is because you're spreading misinformation when it comes to HPV vaccine. So why do they give it to young boys and girls? They give it to you before you have contact with HPV vaccine. I'm going to give you people, I'm going to put the recording of the space we did on that. And so that's why they give it to the girls or the boys before they get to sexual contact. When you get to you have a sexual contact. So you're already having that, the access to the virus. And of course, it's not only, there are different types of HPV viruses. There are ones that are more lethal than the other. So please, I can produce enough papers to show that HPV vaccines is not a hoax out there and people are not being cheated. And if you look again, this is not what we are discussing at the moment. Another thing also, if just let me round up that so that you understand it, so that I don't want to see a lot of Africans coming in, and that this problem that we have at the moment is even the medicine that we have, they're doing it, they're experimenting on white people, because some of us down there cannot afford those things. So we should really try. Of course, that we question, well, the corruption might come in when people are going to the ethics commission and things like that, but not all these things are bad. Polio, for example, if we all said polio is bad and things like that. So guys, let us avoid misinformation. If you want to have a space on that, we can gladly have another one, but you would need to bring scientific papers. We don't take the responsibility. We don't want to take the responsibility of misinforming people along health matters, which is a public health issue. And as we speak, Kenya cannot even afford the HPV for boys. So boys are not being given that. Tomboya, then we complete, because Tomboya, we finished, because Tomboya was waiting. Tomboya, 2 minutes, and then Hillary, as we'd already closed the topic, the closing remarks. Tomboya, can you hear me? Okay, Hillary, close.
Just a minute,
Yeah,
Madge. I'm
Kingsman,
seeing
play music
Sanyo.
as we close.
Okay,
Just give
yeah,
Sanyo in space of Tomboya. He's
yeah.
raised his hand.
Sanyo,
Just a
go.
minute, and then you can close. Sanyo, raise your hand. Just open your mic. I think then you can take it, Hillary. If Tomboya, are you there? Hillary, you can close.
Yeah, we are closing. Kingsman, play music as we close. Oh, play the music, the last music. Thank you guys for coming. Kingsman, can you hear me? All right. Wanauliza kama Kenya kuko sawa, nikawajibu Kenya tuko na disaster, watoto wetu wanazidi kuzikana, na Tomboya ameshika tama, alituacha kama angali kijana. Je, angekuwa mambo yangekuwa sawa? Ndivyo walivyopanga Maulana, deni mulizowacha bado tunalipa, na tumekopa zingine China, tukajenga reli pia barabara, zilizobaki watu wakasanya. So tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana.
sikio la kufa halisikii dawa. Tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana, tujiangalie bane, tuko mabaya leo kuliko jana. Tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana. Waumini kwa matrina pasi kwa bima, kushoto fungu la 10 sadaka kulia. Ndio maana mbele ya kanisa mheshimiwa anakula sakramenti kabla ya raia. Siku za mwisho zimeshawadia na revelation inatuambia ni generation inachoma picha, ni generation yetu, so tujiangalie. Tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana, sikio la kufa halisikii dawa. Tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana, tujiangalie. Tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana, tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana.